finals of self-taught flight, Dan. He's got to be happy.
Okay, Dan, so what is MTA?
Well, perhaps it'd be best to first show you one. So, it's a field event that has a lot of special challenge to it, in that we throw it into the wind and try to have it catch the wind and lift and then float down, tacking on the wind before we catch it. So it's like fishing in a sense, that you have to match the right disc to the right wind and then hope to have the wind work with you and the right technique to have the disc at the right angle so it stays in the air as long as possible.
And it is supposed to come back?
Yes, and in fact,
it did.
All right, Dan, it looks like we got the women warming up for their MTA portion of the self-taught flight finals.
I hope they saw my demonstration so they know the correct technique. These days, the women's record is over 10 seconds for MTA, and I think we can expect a pretty interesting final. There's Mary Jorgensen, one of the finalists, Wendy Coates, Chris O'Cleary.
Here's Liz Herrick from San Diego.
Liz has really come along recently. That's a nice throw, great penetration, flattening out nicely.
A great diving catch there by Liz Herrick.
Wendy Coates put together a near world record performance in throw, run, and catch, and a good solid MTA to take the overall SCF title.
Boy, that was another great throw for Wendy.
Now we're coming up to the big one, the open final. Conrad Damon in this. It's got a little different technique. It's not really having to go too far for it.
Boy, a nice ride there for Conrad, and then it just dropped like the proverbial rock. Here's Hiro Shiman, and as we said, this guy has got the tools.
Good work.
Boy, that was looking great.
It looks like they're all having wind problems. Stefan really had the window in the throw, run, and catch, and it just looks like the disc isn't doing much for him here up on the main field.
Seems like that wind is really swirling around.
Here's the technician. He's going at a much different angle than the others. Oh boy, that could be it.
He's really digging for this one. Peter finally found a way to go.
He made the catch.
He went in a much different direction. Maybe it's because of the swirling wind, whatever, but Peter caught that one over there nicely over in the ball diamond.
One of the keys to the event that people don't really realize, it's not just practice, but it's practice with the same disc all the time. You've really got to know how your disc likes to fly, and you've got to throw it how it likes to fly. And for example, I've been throwing the same disc now for nearly 6 years. So that really helps me a lot because I know what it's going to do. It's like an old friend. I case it inside other discs so it doesn't get damaged when I transport it to the event, and it's always in a plastic bag straight after the event. And so no, I've used exactly the same disc and won a lot of tournaments with it.
And so if you were losing this one for a reason or another, I mean, you will find another one? I mean,
well,
the same one exactly?
In the last couple of years, I've been lucky enough to locate 2 exact replicas of exactly the same mold with exactly the same hot stamp on the top, so I can really have a little confidence there to know that I do have a spare.
He went in a much different direction.
That's an impressive win over a strong field. He's a master of that event right now.
All right, Dan, here we move into the double discord finals. This sees Snapper Pearson and Ron Vendrelli in red against the team of Mark Horn and Scott Zimmerman.
Snapper and Ron are the 3-time defending champions in the event. They're the team to beat.
The game is a series of attacks. You have two people in either court, and the idea is to try and get both discs into that court and down or in their hands both at the same time. If you can get them to both touch the disc at the same time, that's known as a double, and you get 2 points. If you just get it in their court, either where they can't catch it or where they touch it and drop it, that also is 2 points. If you throw in their court and it rolls out, though, without them having touched it, you lose a point.
It's really like space-age tennis. There's 2 discs, 2 players on each team. It takes an awful lot of teamwork and coordination.
The variety of shots really has a lot to do with it, too. Having the tools to attack the different sides of the court, put them deep, throw those burns, and Snapper and Ron have all the tools.
In addition, you need to have other shots. There's one known as a scuba, which neither one of us used today because it was a little too windy and the grass was a little too short. But with a little longer grass and a little less wind, we would have both been throwing our scubs, which is an offside shot. In other words, I'm right-handed, my 2-finger goes to the right side, but my scoob goes to the left. Vinny's 2-finger goes to the left because he's left-handed, and his scoob goes to the right. So it gets fairly confusing.
Next up, the exciting finals of Discathon.
In lane number 1, Leonard Muse. In lane number 2, Harvey Brandt. In lane 3, Snapper Pearson. And in lane 4, Tom Krajna.
Here's the challenge that's ahead of them. The grueling over 1,000-meter course. They have to move the disc around the mandatories and to the finish line. They've been training all year.
Hey, gentlemen. Ready, 2, 1, throw.
All right, Dan, here they go. They're off down this first hill, and they have to go up the other side around the first mandatory.
There's Harvey with his quickness. He's generally out there early. Around the first mandatory, he goes with a roller. Anything they can do to get it around the mandatory, that's the interesting thing about it, the different strategies to try to have the shortest course route that they can make. Now they're coming up to the tight double. Harvey through, not quite as long a flight as he'd like.
And here, I think it's important to note, Dan, that they only have to throw their disc around the course. They don't have to actually go through these mandatories or around the course themselves, as long as the disc passes the course correctly.
That's the strategy. Here they come down to one of the critical mandatories, the tall mandatory at the bottom of the hill. If they can handle this correctly, that gives them a big edge. I think Harvey will pull into position first. He's going for it. It makes it. Oh, a great float out on the course path. He's under it. Nice catch. No need for a lie placement, and he moves on. That'll really help him.
Yeah, he's looking very strong, although Leonard's right out in front of him there. Leonard with another nice throw himself.
Oh, that's great. That's through the mandatory and back to him. 3 steps and in position.
All right, he fell up just short of that double mandatory, so he's going to have to throw a roller through to get himself in place for the next mandatory.
I think Leonard has the touch on that roller better than most of the other players in the game. Seems to be able to control it so perfectly, and he's so quick.
And he really has all the skills, Dan. He's got the throws, which he's going to really need going to this back section. He's got a number of mandatories through the trees here.
He's got the course really well planned out, and he's going to need it because Snapper and Harv are coming in on him, and they're both in great condition. Snapper in particular, I know, trains really hard. He's the oldest top discathoner in the world.
Here's Leonard driving up this hill, Dan, late in the course to get to the next mandatory. He's around that. Takes a lot of stamina to make a good throw here through the next set of trees that he has to go through.
That's the challenge, just like a biathlon of having to really put out and be accurate. There's Harvey coming back from a near-fatal car crash this year. It's just amazing.
Here's Leonard approaching the top of the hill, Dan. He's looking at his last few throws, and he's really got to play this out correctly to either go over the lake or lay up.
He goes for it from the top. He knows he's got the pressure behind him. He's short. That's going to need a sprint. He knows they're coming to the top of the lake. They'll have the same option.
He's driving real hard.
He's in. Apparently he wins it. Snapper finishing through, and Harvey from the top. Hoping for third with that throw. No, he's short also. He's checking where Tom is still.
He's looking like he's feeling it now, Dan. He's run a long way.
Boy, the conditioning that he had to do.